You guys are the cheese knees.
It's always butter when we're together.
Aw, you guys are baking me blush. We're fat, but we're the good fat.
Whoa, bro. That's an avocado don't.
I was only yoking.
Munchies, welcome if you're new. I'm Alyssia, and today, after many requests, I am sharing my first keto meal prep, which is also paleo and of course low carb. If you don't know about a ketogenic lifestyle, I encourage you to check out the video I did a few weeks ago that breaks it down along with some other common diet lifestyles that we hear about these days. If you are not specifically on a low carb lifestyle, you can still incorporate these recipes. Remember, you can always modify and find inspiration, and that's the goal here, rather than specific meal plans. Plus, remember that we're all different. Different people need different amounts of fats, proteins, and carbs, whether they follow a ketogenic lifestyle or not, because everyone has a different carb tolerance, so you will have to adjust as needed. But I wanted to share some fun low-carb recipes since it is a hot topic and highly requested lately. For breakfast, I'm making some bacon cheddar egg cups. First, I cook up some nitrate-free bacon. Enjoy the smell and listen to that sizz. Give that a chop and then whisk together some eggs, almond milk, and salt and pep. To the muffin tin, I add my toppings of choice, which are my mushrooms, tomatoes, zucchini, and chopped bacon. Then I distribute the egg mixture into the compartments, about a quarter cup or a large ice cream scoop each, and top it off with cheese. Bake until beginning to brown on top and set through. Enjoy immediately or allow to cool and refrigerate or freeze. You can reheat these in the microwave, and they're also tasty cold. Perfect for meal prepping and making more batches at a time for later. You can enjoy one or two of these with a bulletproof coffee, or skip the coffee and enjoy a few extra. It is up to you. Check out my Facebook page for a bulletproof coffee recipe that I really like. For lunch, I'm making a beef and broccoli bowl with cauliflower rice. Start with your fat of choice: coconut oil, grass-fed butter, or ghee. Ghee is clarified butter without any lactose or casein, so it's great for people who are sensitive to those, and it's also nutritionally rich like coconut oil. It has a deep, rich, and nutty flavor. I add garlic and ginger paste to the melted ghee and allow that to become fragrant before adding my beef. I cook that through and then add in my veggies, cauliflower rice, and broccoli florets. Once the broccoli is bright and vibrant and cooked to your liking, add your sauce ingredients: coconut aminos or soy sauce, sesame oil, salt and pep, and red pepper flakes for a kick if you want it. Coat completely and season to taste. You can stop here and refrigerate or freeze, so it's another great bulk recipe, but when you're ready to serve, I like to top it off with sliced avocado, sesame seeds, and chopped green onions. If you're on a low-carb diet and missing rice, cauliflower rice is a great mental trick, and you won't even miss the rice in this bowl. It's delicious and nutritious. Thumbs up for substitutions. For dinner, I'll need some mayonnaise for my dish. There are different approaches to a high-fat diet. Some people just go by macros, but I think of a ketogenic diet as a whole foods diet. A lot of the oils used in mayonnaise can be inflammatory and processed, so I'm making my own olive oil-based mayo. In a deep measuring cup, I add egg yolks, apple cider vinegar, lemon juice, Dijon mustard, olive oil, a lighter olive oil, not extra virgin, and sprinkle with salt and pep. Allow to sit for a minute or two and settle, and then begin pulsing with an immersion blender on a low setting. Continue to pulse until it starts to become thick and creamy at the bottom, and then allow the blender to follow the measuring cup up and down to emulsify and integrate completely. Place in a jar and store in the fridge for up to a week. This mayo is really a great option for anyone wanting a cleaner mayonnaise, whether you follow a keto lifestyle or not. If you're enjoying these recipes and tips, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any content. Hit that bell to be notified each week. Go ahead, hit it! Come on, you can do it! So how am I using this in my meal prep? Well, first I'm gonna turn this into a wasabi mayo by whisking in some wasabi paste. This is optional but adds a lot of flavor, and then I'm gonna coat a piece of wild-caught salmon for dinner in the mayo. I add that salmon piece to a panini press and cook through to my liking. That wasabi mayo adds so much flavor. The beauty of this meal is it's a fresh cooked meal every day. You can keep your salmon in the fridge or freezer if you're worried that it won't last, because usually fish only makes it a few days in the fridge. Just thaw it out the night before using in the fridge. You already have your mayo ready to go, so it's super easy. I like to serve that with a side of salad, so I'm jarring up some of my favorite greens, as well as some tomatoes and sliced mushrooms. This way, it's all ready to go each night. I've also made a zesty cilantro lime dressing to top it off. I simply add jalapeno, seeded if you don't want it spicy, garlic, lime juice, cilantro, olive oil, and salt to a blender and let it rip until it's smooth. You could also add avocado to this dressing, but it may not make it the whole week in the fridge. It's so flavorful and makes a boring salad fun. I top the salad off with avocado and some of my favorite ever, Trader Joe's Everything But the Bagel seasoning. This is not sponsored, and I serve that with my salmon for a delicious dinner with a great ratio of fat, protein, and carbs for a ketogenic lifestyle, or just a healthy whole foods meal in general. As snacks for the week, I portion out my favorite nuts, which are macadamia, pecans, and PILI nuts. If you've never heard of PILI nuts, they are one of the most keto-friendly nuts because they have the highest oil content and lowest carbs of any nut. Only 1 gram of carbohydrates and its fiber, and 24 grams of fat per serving. They are a great source of magnesium, vitamin B1, and manganese. They're significantly more expensive than any other nut, so I don't buy them regularly, but it's a pretty neat keto-friendly food that I wanted to share with you guys. I also make sure to have some olives, full-fat cheese, and lower carbohydrate fruits like berries on hand for snacks. One beautiful thing about a ketogenic diet is you don't really get cravings and you are generally full, but we are human and sometimes we just feel like eating a sweet treat. So for that, we can make fat bombs. These are my maple nut fudgy fat bombs. First, I make a nut butter with macadamia nuts, pecans, cinnamon, and maple extract in a food processor. This is delicious on its own, but for the treat, I'm melting that down over the stove with some coconut oil and erythritol. Coconut oil has tons of nutritional benefits as is, but the fact that coconut oil contains medium chain fatty acids, or MCTs, as opposed to long chain fatty acids, means the fat is used as energy rather than circulating in the bloodstream. Since the crux of a ketogenic diet is using fat as fuel instead of carbohydrates, coconut oil obviously becomes a principal ingredient for the lifestyle because of those MCTs. I can then divide that mixture into mini muffin cups lined with silicone liners and top them off with chopped pecans and macadamia nuts. Freeze until firm and you've got those ready to go when your human craving or desire hits. I keep them in the freezer. And that is my ketogenic and paleo-friendly meal prep for the week. For tips on general effective and efficient meal prepping, you can check out my Meal Prep Beginner's Guide ebook. Use the code KETO for 10% off any ebook or package of your choice this week only at mindovermunch.com/ebooks. Remember, my goal with meal prep videos is never for you to replicate them exactly. You can if it suits you, but they are here for general inspiration, so take them and make it your own. If you aren't on a keto or paleo lifestyle, you can adjust these recipes, or maybe this is just here for you to educate yourselves about other lifestyles. For that type of info, again, you can check out my video from a few weeks ago, which is linked below. I hope you found this useful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. I will see you next week, and remember, it's all a matter of mind over munch.